We're live.
I wasn't expecting that. The hell was that?
I don't know. I wasn't expecting it to make you laugh.
We almost got a spit take. A little tablet. I saved you. You're okay. You're okay, baby.
I tell people all the time, well, not all the time, but whenever it's relevant, that I learned how to laugh with my mouth full of water and not spit it out because you used to deliberately make me laugh at the dinner table right after I took a sip.
Oh, it wasn't just me. We were always doing that to all four of us. Well, mostly Dad. Okay, it was me.
It was you.
I learned it from somewhere. Passing buck. I
was gonna say, you can't blame me. I'm 8 years younger than you.
Yeah, but you were very funny. You had an instinct for it. Mom says that house we lived in, she's been doing research for a while, and she says that the house we lived in might well be built on the exact location of Nikola Tesla's laboratory.
Well, damn, I'm sad we don't still live there.
What?
I said, I'm sad we don't still live there then. That'd be cool.
It would be cool, but bad things from that part of town that are not worth having in the forefront of memory, but still cool. Still cool.
Kiowa Street house, right?
No, the Foot Street.
Oh. Okay, less cool.
Right? But still kind of cool.
Still kind of cool.
Yeah.
You said you had some news we could share with the internet.
I have, I went and talked extensively to my printer, who says he can get 3 sets of my cards printed and cut front and back for like $80. He told me how he wanted them formatted so that I wouldn't have to pay him for that, and he's working on it now, and I'll probably get them on Monday. The cards will be a thing come Monday.
That's fantastic. I also definitely was picturing the machine, and I was like, yeah, I talk extensively to myself.
No, the dude who does my printing, he's amazing. His work is second to none. He makes all my artwork look 10 times better. I appreciate him more because I used to just go to like Kinko's.
Mm-hmm.
And back in the day, Kinko's knew how to print, but these days they really don't. Bless their pointy heads. It's pretty much a crapshoot whether you're going to get like a muddy, pixelated, weird thing, or way too bright, or way too wrong paper. Oh, so yeah. About 50% of the time I was pleased with their work. But with this guy, he can take an ugly, muddy, pixelated image and bring it back and be like, this look good? And I'm like, oh,
yes.
Did I paint that? I'm really good. So, and cards aren't really his thing, I think. I don't know. But
sounds like most things are his thing.
Just a very universally competent human being, especially print-wise. I guess that's the only way I've tested him. I don't know, does he ski well? Why would I know that? But
fair. By the way, I'm trying to, so I don't know if you do this. When I have like dry skin on my mouth, I tend to like just bite it and kind of, yeah. So I'm trying to stop doing that.
Yeah.
So I got a like chew necklace thing. So if you see me chewing on that, that is why. It's because I'm trying to stop completely tearing up my own face.
I have the same problem, and I have a different approach. I have sequestered chapstick in every part of the house where I spend any time. So there's a separate chapstick next to the computer, and another one next to the couch, and another one in Avi's room, and another one next to my bed, and another one in my bathroom. All of these are places where I'm like, and problem solved.
Yeah,
and it's real bitch when somebody moves one. They have all learned. I turn into Dragon Lady. Who took it?
I have multiple chapsticks, but if it gets to the point where there's like a pointy bit, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
no
Then the
amount of
chapstick just
chapstick can.
lubricates it.
Yeah,
Makes it more
no,
chewable.
exactly. So there we go.
Yeah. Excellent. I will be working somewhat on this.
Ooh.
Yes. This is the it's still going to be I'm going for a sort of folk art but explosive surreal folk art.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be this is just the colored pencil layer. There's going to be some paint and some other stuff and maybe some patterns, and it's frustrating because there's canonically crickets in this scene, but it's mid-March, so I'm like, crickets aren't supposed to come out till July, but those little bastards don't pay any attention to when they're supposed to be out. I heard
Indeed.
one outside a restaurant 2 weeks ago, so yeah, now I'm doing it. Guess where I don't keep chapstick?
Why do you keep chapstick there?
I think I did, but then someone took one of the others and I removed it. It's okay. I have the lipstick. And it's Burt's Bees, so it's very soothing.
Now I feel like I need chapstick. All right, I'll be back.
Okay. Where did it go? Hell monkeys. Ah, blithering sauerkraut. There it is. All is well. The cursing was for nothing. Or maybe it helped. I also
moisturized.
I also have a gluten-free cookie.
Ooh.
I've already had 2, so I'm kind of like chilling on that. Ooh, my little double chin. I don't care. We are at, I just wanted to tell you so that we didn't have to guess.
They're riding up over the plain, right? And Gandalf just came to.
It seemed, and down on the Pelennor, it seemed for a while less dark.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Awesome. Okay, now I have to find the page, but I know like where in the
story. Since colored pencils are so time consuming and I'm not really in the mood to like rewatch all my Marvel movies, I decided that what I really wanted to do was watch The Friendship Onion finally.
Watch the what?
The Friendship Onion. Billy Boyd and Don Monahan's podcast.
Oh, yeah. How is it?
It's good, except that in the first 2 episodes, one of the little things they do is a little quiz. They've got a couple of callers, and then the quiz is like a competition, like, and it's all Lord of the Rings. No, I don't want to switch to tablet mode. In the very first episode, the answer that the guy gave was correct, and they told him it wasn't, because it turns out one of their producers is designing the quiz, and he doesn't have quite as much knowledge as he thinks he has.
That's very irritating.
Yeah. It'll kind of make you yell at the screen at that point, like, no, Barad-dûr is in the name of the mountain, you pill.
I'm sorry, Barad.
Yeah, sorry. You have been warned.
That's not even like obscure trivia,
right?
That's not
the other one. And the other, in the second episode, one of the questions, which they were like, the answer that we've been given to give you is, we're pretty sure it's wrong. And it was who tried to break the ring at the Council of Elrond, and the ostensibly correct answer was Boromir, and the guy said Gimli, and they're like, yeah, no, I think you're right. I don't like John.
Bro, John, you need to Google. God.
or turn to us. I know all of the things.
I was going to say, we have no one will play Lord of the Rings Trivial Pursuit with either of us. Come on.
It's true. Actually, some people did at a meadery, and it was delightful. And if I hadn't had to leave early, I totally would have won.
Okay, If I was to say where could I find people that could give me a good game of Lord of the Rings Trivial Pursuit, a meadery is just top of the list.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
They were having it was a Tolkien event. A little hole in the wall meadery. They were having a Tolkien event, like come in costume. There were elves and dwarves all around me drinking mead. It was. We'll go there sometime.
I was gonna say I can't wait until the panorama dies down a little bit more and people have events.
Yeah, this happened during the lull between original and Delta.
Mm-hmm. That brief period of time when we all thought we were going to be okay. I remember that.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
Treasure it like a pearl.
Yeah.
Because it was this beautiful moment surrounded by snot. With the walls closing in all around.
Yeah, basically.
All right, so Gandalf has just blasted the Nazgul out of the way, and I'm going to bust out my colored pencils.
Sounds delightful. By the way, the title of this episode is "Those Beasts Are Like Really Fell, Dude."
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Down on the Pelennor, it seemed for a while less dark. Pippin watched, and he saw the horseman and the white rider meet and halt, waiting for those on foot. Men now hurried out to them from the city, and soon they all passed from sight under the outer walls, and he knew that they were entering the gate. Guessing that they would come at once to the tower and the steward, he hurried to the entrance of the citadel. There he was joined by many others who had watched the race and the rescue from the high walls. It was not long before a clamor was heard in the streets leading up from the outer circles, and there was much cheering and crying of the names of Faramir and Mithrandir. Presently Pippin saw torches, and followed by a press of people, 2 horsemen riding swiftly. One was in white, but shining no longer, pale in the twilight, as if his fire was spent or veiled. The other was dark, and his head was bowed. They dismounted, and his grooms took Shadowfax and the other horse. What? He just went racing across the plains running from Nazgul. You're just gonna call him the other horse.
Yeah, the other horse. Let's give him a name right now. Oh, he named his horse Denethor to please his father. It didn't work.
I agree that Denethor is a horse's ass, but I feel like he named it something really like obscure and mythological from Gondorian history, and that just pissed off Denethor even more.
There you go.
How much he loves that stuff.
Or
he named it Imrahil because,
what was her name? Baruthiel. Let him have named his horse, his mare, Baruthiel, after Queen Baruthiel, whose cats couldn't get lost.
Yes, I like it.
All right.
Anyway, so they dismounted, and his grooms took Shadowfax and Baruthiel. They walked forward to the sentinel at the gate. Gandalf steadily, his grey cloak flung back, and a fire still smoldering in his eyes. The other, clad all in green, slowly, swaying a little as a weary or a wounded man. Pippin pressed forward as they passed under the lamp beneath the gate arch, and when he saw the pale face of Faramir, he caught his breath. It was the face of one who has been assailed by a great fear or anguish, but has mastered it, and now is quiet.
Because he's perfect.
I feel like that's just the way of saying, like, that it was the face of one who is super fucking traumatized.
Trauma face.
Proud and grave, he stood for a moment as he spoke to the guard, and Pippin, gazing at him, saw how closely he resembled his brother Boromir, whom Pippin had liked from the first, admiring the great man's lordly but kindly manner. Yet suddenly for Faramir, his heart was strangely moved with a feeling that he had not known before. Yay! Sorry. What are these strange feelings I'm having? No, just kidding. But also
straight
not really.
men can feel greatly moved by the handsome, awesome perfection of some other man. Never mind.
Something, something, intricate rituals, something, something. Here was one with an air of high nobility, such as Aragorn at times revealed. Less high, perhaps, yet also less incalculable and remote. One of the kings of men born into a later time, but touched with the wisdom and sadness of the elder race. He knew now why Baragon spoke his name with love. He was the captain that men would follow, that he would follow, even under the shadow of the Black Wings. Faramir, he cried aloud with the others. Faramir! And Faramir, catching his strange voice among the clamor of the men of the city, turned and looked down at him and was amazed. Whence come you? He said. A halfling, and in the livery of the tower? Whence? But with that, Gandalf stepped to his side and spoke. He came with me from the land of the halflings, he said. He came with me. But let us not tarry here. There is much to say and to do, and you are weary. He shall come with us. Indeed, he must, for if he does not forget his new duties more easily than I do, he must attend on his lord again within this hour. Come, Pippin, follow us.
Thanks, Gandalf.
Like, he's not even late for work yet. Calm down.
Right.
So at length they came to the private chamber of the lord of the city. 3 deep seats were set about a brazier of charcoal, and wine was brought. Can you imagine trying to sit in a really deep chair when you're super exhausted from like fighting off Nazgul?
Right.
Like start sitting down and you just keep going. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah. I'm picturing it really fluffy and having that.
Yeah. And they all sit down and then they slowly just like sink until their knees are higher than their hips.
And then Pippin has to bring them all wine and they're like.
I'm kind of also picturing like, you know, the egg chairs from that scene in Men in Black?
Yes. 100% on that train of thought.
And there Pippin, hardly noticed, stood behind the chair of Denethor and felt his weariness little, so eagerly did he listen to all that was said. When Faramir had taken white bread and drunk a draught of wine, he sat upon a low chair at his father's left hand. Even worse, a low chair! Removed a little upon the other side sat Gandalf in a chair of carven wood, and he seemed at first to be asleep. For at the beginning Faramir spoke only of the errand upon which he had been sent out 10 days before, and he brought tidings of Ithilien and of movements of the enemy and his allies. And he told of the fight on the road, when the men of Harad and their great beast were overthrown. A captain reporting to his master such matters as had often been heard before. Small things of border war that now seemed useless and petty, shorn of their renown. And then suddenly Faramir looked at Pippin. But now we come to strange matters, he said. For this is not the first halfling that I have seen walking out of northern legends into the Southlands.
Dun dun dun!
At that, Gandalf sat up and gripped the arms of his chair, but he said nothing, and with a look stopped the exclamation upon Pippin's lips. Denethor looked at their faces and nodded his head, as though in sign that he had read much there before it was spoken. Slowly, while the others sat silent and still, Faramir told his tale, with his eyes for the most part on Gandalf, though now and again his glance strayed to Pippin, as if to refresh his memory of others that he had seen. As his story was unfolded of his meeting with Frodo and his servant, and of the events at Heneth Anun, Pippin became aware that Gandalf's hands were trembling as they clutched the carven wood. White they seemed now, and very old, and as he looked at them, suddenly with a thrill of fear, Pippin knew that Gandalf himself, was troubled, even afraid. The air of the room was close and still. At last, when Faramir spoke of his parting with the travelers, and of their resolve to go to Cirith Ungol, his voice fell, and he shook his head and sighed. Then Gandalf sprang up. Cirith Ungol? Morgul Vale? He said. The time, Faramir, the time! When did you part with them? When would they reach that accursed valley? I parted with them in the morning 2 days ago, said Faramir. It is 15 leagues thence to the Vale of the Morgul Duin, if they went straight south, and then they would still be 5 leagues westward of the accursed tower. At swiftest, they could not come there before today, and maybe they have not come there yet. Indeed, I see what you fear, but the darkness is not due to their venture. It began yestereve, and all Ithilien was under shadow last night. It is clear to me that the enemy has long planned an assault on us, and its hour had already been determined before ever the travelers left my keeping. Gandalf paced the floor. The morning of 2 days ago, nigh on 3 days of journey. How far is the place where you parted? Some 25 leagues, as a bird flies, answered Faramir. But I could not come more swiftly. Yestereve I lay at Carandros, the long isle in the river northward which we hold in defense, and horses are kept on the hither
Is this
bank.
too loud, by the way?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool.
As the dark drew on, I knew that haste was needed, so I rode thence with 3 others that could also be horsed. The rest of my company I sent south to strengthen the garrison at the fords of Osgiliath. I hope that I have not done ill. He looked at his father. Ill? Cried Denethor, and his eyes flashed suddenly. Why do you ask? The men were under your command. Or do you ask for my judgment on all your deeds? Your bearing is lowly in my presence, but yet it is long now since you turned from your own way at my counsel. I should have called this episode Denethor's A+ parenting.
Right?
It is long now since you turned from your own way at my counsel. See, you have spoken skillfully as ever. But have I not seen your eye fixed on Mr. Brandir, seeking whether you said well or too much? He has long had your heart in his keeping. My son, your father, is old, but not yet dotard. I can see as hear, as was my wont, but I don't have a palate here. And little of what you have half said or left unsaid is now hidden from me. I know the answer to many riddles. Alas, alas for Boromir. If what I have done displeases you, my father, said Faramir quietly, I wish I had known your counsel before the burden of so weighty a judgment was thrust upon me. Would that have availed to change your judgment? Said Denethor. You would still have done just so, I deem. I know you well. Ever your desire is to appear lordly and generous as a king of old, gracious, gentle. That may well befit one of high race if he sits in power and peace. But in desperate hours, gentleness may be repaid with death. So be it, said Faramir. So be it, cried Denethor, but not with your death only, Lord Faramir, with the death also of your father and of all of your people, whom it is your part to protect now that Boromir is gone. Do you wish, then, said Faramir, that our places had been exchanged? Yes, I wish that indeed, said Denethor, for Boromir was loyal. Ah, God, this guy is awful.
Yeah.
We hate him.
We hate him.
For Boromir was loyal to me and no wizard's pupil. He would have remembered his father's need and would not have squandered what fortune gave. He would have brought me a mighty gift. For a moment, Faramir's restraint gave way. I would ask you, my father, to remember why it was that I, not he, was in Ithilien. On one occasion at least your counsel has prevailed, not long ago. It was the lord of the city that gave that errand to him.
Yeah, strike back.
Yeah, Faramir.
Perfect
also,
people don't let themselves get abused.
Yeah. And also, like, he's right.
Yep.
It's like, I wanted to go, you wouldn't let me.
Yeah. Fucking hey, dude.
Stir not the bitterness in the cup that I mixed for myself, said Denethor. That is such a good burn back, though.
Oh, it is.
I will remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Stir not the bitterness in the cup that I mixed for myself. Have I not tasted it now many nights upon my tongue, foreboding that worse yet lay in the dregs? As now indeed I find. Would it were not so. Would that this thing had come to me. Which is so interesting as a parallel but opposite to Frodo saying, I wish the ring had never come to me.
Yeah. Oh, man. All the layers.
Mm-hmm. Comfort yourself, said Gandalf. In no case would Boromir have brought it to you. He is dead and died well. May he sleep in peace. Yet you deceive yourself. He would have stretched out his hand to this thing, and taking it, he would have fallen. He would have kept it for his own, and when he returned, you would not have known your son. So there's this book I read called, dang it, what is it called?
Interesting title.
I can't remember now. It's a Naomi Novik book, and the scariest thing that in it that they talk about, so it's like they live on the borders of a cursed forest. And the scariest thing that they talk about is that sometimes if people go into the forest, they come back and they look the same, but they're like souls have been stripped out, so they just like come back all smiley and happy and everything's fine, and then all of a sudden they like go on murderous rampages.
Oh, spooky.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I was thinking about when he says you would not have known your son. Is like he comes back looking the same, but then he's completely corrupted by the ring.
Totally. That is true.
God, the name's going to bother me. It's going to come to me, though. 2
Good.
o'clock in the morning. I'll text you.
Sure. Or, at the end of the reading session.
I mean, I could Google it. That's true. But I'm not going to Google it right now because we're in the middle of something.
We're in the middle of something. Denethor and Gandalf are having a battle of assholery, I guess.
I guess. Battle of the Titans there.
Yeah.
And when he returned, you would not have known your son. The face of Denethor set hard and cold. You found Boromir less apt to your hand, did you not? He said softly. But I, who was his father, say that he would have brought it to me. You are wise, maybe, Mithrandir. Yet with all your subtleties, you have not all wisdom. Counsels may be found that are neither the webs of wizards nor the haste of fools. I have in this matter more lore and wisdom than you deem. But I don't have a palantir. What then is your wisdom? Said Gandalf. Enough to perceive that there are 2 follies to avoid. To use this thing is perilous. At this hour, to send it in the hands of a witless halfling into the land of the enemy himself, as you have done, and this son of mine, that is madness. And the Lord Denethor, what would he have done? Neither. But most surely not for any argument would he have set this thing at a hazard beyond all but a fool's hope, risking our utter ruin if the enemy should recover what he lost. Nay, it should have been kept, hidden dark and deep. Not used, I say, unless at the uttermost end of need, but set beyond his grasp, save by a victory so final that what then befell would not trouble us, being dead.
You think as ever.
You think, as is your wont, my lord, of Gondor only. What?
Yeah. I love the line, like, you are once again being a selfish ass.
You think, as is your wont, my lord, of Gondor only, bitch, said Gandalf. Yet there are other men and other lives and times still to be. And for me, I pity even his slaves. And where will other men look for help if Gondor falls? Answered Denethor. If I had this thing now in the deep vaults of this citadel, we should not then shake with dread under this gloom, fearing the worst, and our counsels would be undisturbed. If you do not trust me to endure the test, you do not know me yet.
And yet I don't trust you.
Right. And also, that's such a badass line, but he's already completely corrupted. Like, I think I do know you though, dude.
It's the Thor meme, like, really though?
Exactly.
I think you'd survive the test, you really do.
Nonetheless, I do not trust you, said Gandalf.
I may have read this once or twice.
You think? Had I done so, I could have sent this thing hither to your keeping, and spared myself and others much anguish. And now hearing you speak, I trust you less, no more than Boromir. Nay, stay your wrath. I do not trust myself in this, and I refuse this thing, even as a freely given gift. You are strong and can still, in some matters, govern yourself, Denethor. Whew. Such a backhanded compliment.
Right?
Sometimes make your own decisions, I guess.
Yeah.
Yet, if you had received this thing, it would have overthrown you. Were it buried beneath the roots of Mindalluin, still it would burn your mind away as the darkness grows, and the yet worse things follow that soon shall come upon us. For a moment, the eyes of Denethor glowed again as he faced Gandalf, and Pippin felt once more the strain between their wills. But now almost it seemed as if their glances were like blades from eye to eye, flickering as they fenced. That's such a weird mental image.
It is, too, but somehow creepy.
Right? Huh, 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 huh. Pippin trembled, fearing some dreadful stroke. But suddenly Denethor relaxed and grew cold again. He shrugged his shoulders. If you had, he said, such words and ifs are vain. It has gone into the shadow, and only time will show what doom awaits it and us. The time will not be long. And what is left, let all who fight the enemy in their fashion be at one, and keep hope while they may, and after hope still the hardihood to die free. He turned to Faramir. What think you of the garrison at Osgiliath? It is not strong, said Faramir. I have sent the company of Ithilien to strengthen it, as I have said. Not enough, I deem, said Denethor. It is there that the first blow will fall. It will have need of some stout captain there. There and elsewhere, in many places, said Faramir, and sighed. Alas for my brother, whom I too loved. He rose. May I have your leave, father? And then he swayed and leaned upon his father's chair. You are weary, I see, said Denethor. You have ridden fast and far, and under shadows of evil in the air, I am told.
I didn't go watch. I'm told.
Right? Dick. Let us not speak of that, said Faramir. Then we will not, said Denethor. Go now and rest as you may. Tomorrow's need will be sterner. All now took leave of the lord of the city and went to rest while they still could. Outside there was a starless blackness as Gandalf, with Pippin beside him bearing a small torch, made his way to their lodging. They did not speak until they were behind closed doors, and at last Pippin took Gandalf's hand. Tell me, he said, is there any hope? For Frodo, I mean, or at least mostly for Frodo. Gandalf put his hand on Pippin's head. There never was much hope, he answered.
Comforting.
I know, right? Just a fool's hope, as I have been told. And when I heard of Cirith Ungol, he broke off and strode to the window, as if his eyes could pierce the night in the east. Cirith Ungol, he muttered. Why that way, I wonder? He turned. And just now, Pippin, my heart almost failed me hearing that name. And yet, in truth, I believe the news that Faramir brings has some hope in it. For it seems clear that our enemy has opened his war at last and made the first move, while Frodo was still free. So now, for many days, he will have his eye turned this way and that, away from his own land. And yet, Pippin, I feel from afar his haste and fear. He has begun sooner than he would. Something has happened to stir him. Gandalf stood for a moment in thought. Maybe, he muttered. Maybe even your foolishness helped, my lad. Let me see. Some 5 days ago now, he would discover that we had thrown down Saruman and had taken the stone. Or 6 months if you're following along in reading time.
Been a long 5 days.
Still, what of that? We could not use it to much purpose, or without his knowing. Ah, I wonder. Aragorn? His time draws near, and he is strong and stern underneath, Pippin, bold, determined, able to take his own counsel and dare great risks at need. That may be
Also handsome. Charming. Dance as well. Trips beautifully.
Plays the lute. He may have used the stone and shown himself to the enemy, challenging him for this very purpose. I wonder. Well, we shall not know the answer till the riders of Rohan come, if they do not come too late. There are evil days ahead. To sleep while we may. Everything's doomed. Good night.
Yep.
But, said Pippin. But what? Said Gandalf. Only one but will I allow tonight. Gollum, said Pippin. How on earth could they be going about with him, even following him? And I could see that Faramir did not like the place he was taking them to any more than you do. What is wrong? I cannot answer that now, said Gandalf. Yet my heart guessed that Frodo and Gollum would meet before the end, for good or for evil. But of Cirith Ungol I will not speak tonight. Treachery. Treachery, I fear. Treachery of that miserable creature. But so it must be. Let us remember that a traitor may betray himself and do good that he does not intend. It can be so sometimes. Good night.
This is what we call foreshadowing, Pippin.
It's plot exposition. It has to go somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
The next day came with a morning like a brown dusk, and the hearts of men, lifted for a while by the return of Faramir, sank low again. The winged shadows were not seen again that day, yet ever and anon, high above the city, a faint cry would come, and many who heard it would stand stricken with a passing dread, while the less stout-hearted quailed and wept. And now Faramir was gone again. They give him no rest, some murmured. The Lord drives his son too hard, and now he must do the duty of two, for himself and for the one that will not return. And ever men looked northward, asking, where are the riders of Rohan? In truth, Faramir did not go by his own choosing. But the lord of the city was master of his council, and he was in no mood that day to bow to others. Early in the morning the council had been summoned. There all the captains judged that because of the threat in the south, their force was too weak to make any stroke of war on their own part, unless perchance the riders of Rohan yet should come. Meanwhile they must man the walls and wait. Yet, said Denethor, we should not lightly abandon the outer defences the Ramas made with so great a labour, and the enemy must pay dearly for the crossing of the river. That he cannot do in force to assail the city, either north of Carandros, because of the marshes, or southwards towards Lebanon, because of the breadth of the river that needs many boats. It is at Osgiliath that he will put his weight, as before when Boromir denied him the passage. That was but a trial. That was but a trial, said Faramir. Today we may make the enemy pay 10 times our loss at the passage, and yet rue the exchange. For he can afford to lose a host better than we to lose a company. And the retreat of those that we put far afield will be perilous if he wins across in force. And what of Caer Andros, said the prince. That too must be held if Osgiliath
I'm sorry, are you somebody?
Right, Prince who? Who let this guy in?
Who is this guy? Is it like an iced tea? You are the waiter, right?
I think this is his only line in the whole book, too.
No, he gets to say equally, like, completely pointless and stupid shit just all the way through.
Oh, good.
He's just in every scene being like, I'm stating the obvious.
I like turtles.
Prince Imrahil likes turtles. New canon.
They replaced Imrahil, all of Imrahil, with the one time that Legolas goes, a diversion. And it's like, that's literally exactly what he just said.
Yes.
That too must be held if Osgiliath is defended, said the waiter. Let us not forget the danger on our left. The Rohirrim may come, and they may not. But Faramir has told us of great strength, drawing ever to the Black Gate. More than one host may issue from it, and strike for more than one passage. Much must be risked in war, said Denethor. Caer Andros is manned, and no more can be sent so far. But I will not yield the river and the Pelennor unfought. Not if there is a captain here who still has the courage to do their lord's will.
Ooh.
Then all were silent, but at length Faramir said, I do not oppose your will, sire. Since you are robbed of Boromir, I will go and do what I can in his stead, if you command it. This is the one time I'm like, Faramir, dude, come on. Come on.
Wait.
Don't
Don't do no, Faramir, no.
I do so, said Denethor. Then farewell, said Faramir. But if I should return, think better of me.
Even though they gave him so many more human foibles for the movie, this moment was a very, very well done moment for David Wenham.
Oh yeah, no, this moment, like this whole part in the movie, and I know they condensed it a lot, but like,
yeah, it's they did a damn fine job.
They did a great job. But if I should return, think better of me. That depends on the manner of your return, said Denethor.
Fuck you.
You bitch. Gandalf it was that last spoke to Faramir ere he rode east. Do not throw your life away rashly or in bitterness, he said. You will be needed here for other things than war.
You must
father
breed.
What?
You will be needed for breeding when we're trying to repopulate this depleted city.
Your father loves you, Faramir. We'll remember it ere the end. Farewell. So now the Lord Faramir had gone forth again, and had taken with him such strength of men as were willing to go, or could be spared. On the wall,
pissed off Denethor recently.
It's just like a rogue gallery of people Denethor hates. On the wall, some gazed through the gloom towards the ruined city, and they wondered what chanced there, for nothing could be seen. And others, as ever, looked north and counted the leagues to Theoden and Rohan. Will he come? Will he remember our old alliance, they said. Yes, he will come, said Gandalf, even if he comes too late. But think, at best the Red Arrow cannot have reached him more than 2 days ago, and the miles are long from Edoras. Who cares about the Red Arrow?
No one gives a shit about the Red Arrow. The Red Arrow is the only thing less important than Prince Imrahil.
Seriously, like that was not the catalyst for him deciding to ride to Gondor. He was already mustering his troops.
Already on the way.
It was a waste of time.
And men.
It was night again ere news came. A man rode in haste from the fords. Initially, I read that as fjords. Wow. From the fords, saying that a host had issued from Minas Morgul and was already drawing nigh to Osgiliath, and it had been joined by regiments from the south, Haradrim, Cruel, and Tall. And we have learned, said the messenger, that the Black Captain leads them once again, and the fear of him has passed before him over the river. With those ill-boding words, the third day closed, since Pippin came to Minas Tirith. Few went to rest, for small hope had any now that even Faramir could hold the fords for long. The next day, though the darkness had reached its full and grew no deeper, it weighed heavier on men's hearts, and a great dread was on them. Ill news came soon again. The passage of Anduin was won by the enemy. Faramir was retreating to the wall of the Pelennor, rallying his men to the causeway forts. He was 10 times outnumbered.
Oh fuck, they've taken Paris?
Wait, what?
No, it's just the strings of bad news reminds me of, early days of the war.
I was like, I thought I had said Paris instead of Pelennor. I was like, wait, when did I do that?
No, you're fine. I was just drawing parallels. Applicability, not allegory.
I don't want to be haunted by Jert's ghost. If he wins back at all across the Pelennor, his enemies will be on his heels, said the messenger. I'm kind of like going with 1940s radio announcer voice now because of that, though. If he wins back across the Pelennor, his enemies will be on his heels. They paid
That's actually perfect.
but less steely than we hoped. The plan has been well laid. It is now seen that in secret they have long been building floats and barges in great number in East Osgiliath. They swarmed across like beetles. But it is the Black Captain that defeats us. Few will stand and abide even the rumor of his coming. His own folk quail at him, and they would slay themselves at his bidding. I did not know.
Lucky young men on the forts.
And now, Mickey Mouse cartoon. I didn't know I had a good 1940s radio announcer voice until now.
Really well. Yeah, the newsreel. Oh dear God, we have to read all of the war updates as newsreels.
Then I am needed there more than here, said Gandalf, and rode off at once. And the glimmer of him faded soon from sight. And all that night, Pippin, alone and sleepless, stood upon the wall and gazed eastward. The bells of day had scarcely rung out again, a mockery in the unlightened dark, when far away he saw fires spring up across in the dim spaces where the walls of the Pelennor stood. The watchman cried aloud, and all men in the city stood to arms. Now ever and anon there was a red flash, and slowly through the heavy air dull rumbles could be heard. They have taken the wall, men cried. They're blasting breaches in it. They're coming. Where is Faramir? Cried Beregond in dismay. Say not that he has fallen. It was Gandalf that brought the first sight. Like, okay, I won't. Ihe, Azhe, all in Fae. It was Gandalf that brought the first tidings. With a handful of horsemen, he came in the middle morning, riding his escort to a line of wains. They were filled with wounded men, all that could be saved from the wreck of the Causeway forts. At once he went to Denethor. The lord of the city sat now in a high chamber above the wall of the White Tower, with Pippin at his side, and through the dim windows north and south and east he bent his dark eyes, as if to pierce the shadows of doom that ringed him round. Most to the north he looked, and would pause at whiles to listen, as if by some ancient art his ears might hear the thunder of hoofs on the plains far away. Is Faramir come? He asked. No, said Gandalf, but he still lived when I left him. Yet he is resolved to stay with the rear guard, lest the retreat over the Pelennor become a rout. He may perhaps hold his men together long enough, but I doubt it. He is pitted against a foe too great, for one has come that I feared. Not the Dark Lord, cried Pippin, forgetting his place in his terror. Denethor laughed bitterly. Nay, not yet, Master Peregrine. He will not come, save only to triumph over me when all is won. What makes you so important, bro?
Yep, right? Like, suddenly it's not about us or about Gondor, it's just me. It's all me. He's targeting me. Because I'm the sexy one.
He uses others as his weapons. So do all great lords, if they are wise, Master Halfling. Or why should I sit here in my tower and think and watch and wait, spending even my sons? For I could still wield a brand. He stood up and cast open his long black cloak, and behold!
Behold!
He was naked.
My role in the old wars was berserker.
Actually, he was clad in mail beneath.
Boring.
I know, right? And girt with a long sword, great hilted, in a sheath of black and silver. Thus have I walked, and thus now for many years have I slept. He said, what?
Stinky.
I forgot about that. Sleeps. What the fuck is wrong with this? This dude is like tinfoil hat man.
He's more like aging cowboy man, like a Jack Palance or a Clint Eastwood. Like, I can still fight. Look at me, still wearing my armor.
Right. I sleep
Fuck
with my
off, all
shirt
you.
on, I guess. But I just think it's also pretty.
It is also very tinfoil hat.
Schizophrenic, yeah. He said, lest with age the body should grow soft and timid. Weirdo.
Mm-hmm.
Yet now, under the Lord of Barad-dûr, the most fell of all his captains is already master of your outer walls, said Gandalf.
I love how Gandalf just breezes by that, like, yes, Denethor, you were wearing mail. Anyway.
King of Angmar long ago, sorcerer, ringwraith, lord of the Nazgul, a spear of terror in the hand of Sauron, shadow of despair. Someone's got a crush.
I don't know, it sounded a bit more like an MC to me.
Please welcome to the main stage. King of Angmar long ago, sorcerer, ringwraith, lord of the Nazgul, a spear of terror in the hand of Sauron, and the shadow of despair. I don't actually know what the Witch King's name is.
I don't actually know that either. Just call him Witch King.
The Witch King!
Witch King!
Then, Mithrandir, you had a foe to match you, said Denethor. For myself, I have long known who is the chief captain of the hosts of the Dark Tower. Is this all that you have dared to say? Or can it be that you have withdrawn because you are overmatched? Finn trembled, fearing that Gandalf would be stung to sudden wrath, but his fear was needless. It might be so, Gandalf answered softly, but our trial of strength is not yet come. And if words spoken of old be true, not by the hand of man shall he fall, and hidden from the wise is the doom that awaits him. Women exist!
No, it's a mystery! Total mystery. Will he be killed by a hedgehog?
Actually, that'd be hilarious. They shall sing songs about the hedgehog. Granny will not want to hear them. We're a little past time, by the way, but I'm trying to...
Nor the Witch King if he wields a mace, because the hedgehog can never be buggered at all.
Headcanon accepted. Onward. However that may be, hedgehog or otherwise, the captain of despair does not press forward yet. He rules rather according to the wisdom that you have just spoken, from the rear, driving his slaves in madness on before. Nay, I came rather to guard the hurt men that can yet be healed. The Ramas is breached far and wide, and soon the host of Morgul will enter in at many points. And I came chiefly to say this. Soon there will be battle on the fields. A sortie must be made ready. Let it be of mounted men. In them lies our brief hope, for in one thing only is the enemy still poorly provided. He has few horsemen. And we also have few. Now would the coming of Rohan be in the nick of time, said Denethor. We are likely to see other newcomers first, said Gandalf. Fugitives from Caer Andros have already reached us. The Isle has fallen. Another army has come from the Black Gate, crossing from the northeast. Some have accused you, Mithrandir, a bit of delighting to bear ill news, said Denethor. But to me this is no longer news. It was known to me ere nightfall yesterday. But I don't have it. As for the sortie, I had already given thought to it. Let us go down. All right, we are at the end of our section.
Don't tell me I need a sortie. I know I need a sortie.
You don't decide when I have a sortie. I decide when I have a sortie. I'm saying we have a sortie now. Uprooted. That's the name of the book.
Yay!
Yay. All right. I must go make dinner, all that good stuff.
Oakley dokely, I will do that. I will continue to watch Friendship Onion. I recommend the same. It makes me feel better about our weird, like, brain wandery bits, because that's basically what they do too, at least for the first couple episodes.
I wasn't feeling bad about our brain wandery bits.
Actually, I find them madly entertaining. But part of my brain is like, surely this isn't as interesting to everybody else as it is to me. And then I watch other people with brain wanderies, and I'm like, actually, it might be.
I think that's the value added here. Like, anybody could buy an audiobook. Not everybody could hear someone speculate whether the Witch King was actually murdered by a hedgehog.
Or talk about if Denethor had been naked under that robe.
or occasionally editorialize the dialogue and add the word bitch.
Yes.
And I'm
Yes,
also
this-
pretty sure that none of the audiobooks read the messenger's voices in 1940s radio announcer style.
I'm going to have to try next week. It's going to be my turn to do the radio announcer voice.
Sounds good.
Like,
All right. I love you.
I love you too, cuidado.
Yamas.
Until next time.
Yes, indeed.